Welcome back everybody to the After Hours Gaming League Season 3, Week number 2, and of course we do have a fight here between two pretty big names here. Of course we do have our Team EA is going to be starting, well, up the top right hand side of Daybreak, of course one of the very big popular maps on ladder and in normal tournament competition as well, and playing for Team EA as our Blue Protoss player will be Synth. And his opponent going to be down the bottom left-hand side as our Red Zerg player, playing for Team GREE, of course wanting to try and come back here and maybe get a win back in game number 2, is GREE's Sushi Slayer. So our Red Zerg going to be, you know, obviously looking to probably go for a possible, you know, the quick natural, and then of course the third base as well. Very common to see that kind of thing on Daybreak. Oh, cool. You don't get to see this type of wall very often. We'll go into that in just a minute. But as I mentioned, very standard to see Zergs like to pick up a second and a third base. Of course, you can have some issues from time to time when some Protoss players like to pull out the old Immortal Sentry. Of course, we are here in Heart of the Swarm, and the fact that you can use things like the Mothership Core to help out with an attack like this is, well, it's you know, it's a very useful kind of tactic to add in. As we can see, you know, on the third base, normally you've got a hatchery in this sort of position here. Our Protoss player will obviously want to try and take advantage of that, wanting to throw down a couple of force fields in these sorts of positions, cutting off the Zerg from bringing in the reinforcements across to defend the hatchery, and that's why we commonly see the Immortal Sentry base play on this particular map. Now, of course, as we said, Heart of the Swarm does change things up a little bit. You can add in the Mothership Core as a potential damage dealer. Of course, the added bonus of now how the Time Warp has been switched over from the Oracle across to the Mothership Core can also really help out. Not to mention the bonus fact, if you play against a Zerg who sees it coming, reads you like a book, and knows exactly what you're up to, if you get into a bit of trouble, recall, and it's all good. You can head back home, have some tea and biscuits, and look good with those units all still alive, as opposed to the current Immortal Sentry all in Wings of Liberty, where, you know, you're pretty much done. So we'll see how Synth likes to play this, wants to play this out. Of course, as we can see, I mentioned a slightly different wall in here. It is a little bit more compact. It's not often that people utilize this particular style, but as we can see, we've got the pylon just across up here in this position here. We've also then got the forge. Sometimes some players will like to make this a full wall off with the Nexus there as well. Sort of, as I said, it makes it very compact, and effectively you can use one cannon to defend this this entire area here, which is, you know, it can be a little bit of a bonus depending on how you like to play. However, the normal, little bit more of a common standard style is to, of course, wall off in this sort of position where you've got your gateway, sometimes a you know, a pylon, and then the Nexus. Leave a little hole here for your units to get out, and that's sort of the much more standard way to do it. It leaves a very a limited front for a Zerg player to try and push through. Of course, lings and all sorts of crazy things trying to run by can be quite annoying, but you know, as we said, you just have to be careful about how you play with any sort of wall in, because sometimes Zergs will throw out the crazy stuff. But no crazy stuff for the moment. We've got our natural going up for Sushi. He's going to drone up as hard as he can, sitting on 18 drones right as of now. 2 more on the way. Queens. Wait, no, only one Queen is on the way at the moment. He is getting pretty quick speed. Just going to grab that and make sure that he's got some map control. Of course, wants to make sure that annoying little pesky probes like this guy over here do not get any proxy pylons down. Because of course, you know, you don't want warp-ins happening. It can be quite annoying to deal with that kind of thing. So Sushi doing a good job of keeping up with that particular part of the metagame at the moment. Looks like that with the 30 in operation, we'll obviously see some more drones going down for our Red Zerg player there, Sushi Slayer. He's also going to have to keep an eye on what the Protoss is up to. So Synth, what is he up to? Well, looks like we're going to have, well, I'm not sure at the moment. We've got a lot of gas, so I'm thinking there may be a Stargate or something like that. There it is, okay. Stargate, if you haven't played much Heart of the Swarm, very, very popular now, as compared to Wings of Liberty, where you'd sort of see a couple of various styles, of course, as we mentioned before, the very popular Immortal Sentry-based play. You can still see Robo-based openings into a very quick third base, but Stargate still a little bit around in Wings of Liberty, but in Heart of the Swarm, this is pretty much one of the big, the top-notch plays that players like to use. Of course, if you've been a big fan of Wings of Liberty and play Protoss, you'll of course know that our the fabled hero, Mr. White Ra, the legend that we all deserve, has been playing a lot of Heart of the Swarm, and he loves to utilize the Stargate. Brings out oracles, does proxy Stargates with Void Rays, and of course utilizes the fact that Void Rays are extremely powerful in that mid to late game when they can throw out their prismatic alignment, get up that extra damage on armored units, and counter things like the roaches, like the very common Ultralisks that have become a almost, I don't want to say a standard, but a very highly sought after facet of late game Zerg play. So we'll see how he goes with that. For the moment, it looks like he is going to get out a couple of Phoenix, of course. As we saw, Sushi was able to scout that out with the Scouting Overlord at that standard sort of 6:30 timer there, just wandering through the base, just saying hello, popping through, just want to get a cup of coffee. And he's going to get up some defenses, of course, a Spore Crawler up inside the mineral line there. This one, I'm not sure how I feel about this one being a little bit further back there from Sushi. Of course, the common sort of positions you see, and, you know, normally sort of in these spots just around here, just because they give good coverage on both the Queen and of course the drones as well. But you know, we'll have to see how this goes. And yeah, again, another one just down here, just sort of, it's a little bit too far away. The area of coverage that this kind of Spore Crawler will help out with is sort of like that sort of area there. That's not a perfect circle, but who cares? So the units at the top here, like this Queen, are a little bit worried for her because she's going to be in a little bit of trouble. The Hydralisk stand being built now as well. 4 Phoenix have been built. A standard sort of number to go to is 5, as we can see. It looks like Synth is going to pick up a 5th one and send that across, probably rallied across very soon. Going to find a Queen here. There is a very minimal defense, as we mentioned. The Spore Crawler has actually just moved across, so he has gotten that in a little bit of a nicer spot. But you know, well, the Queen goes down already. 1 Queen down for Sushi Slayer. Synth is going to be quite happy with that. If he can grab maybe 1 or 2 more Queens, he'll be very happy with the job that these Phoenix have done. And there it is again, that Spore Crawler at the back. We can barely see it. The Overlord needs to lose some weight. Just really not helping out at all. And another Queen pops out, trying to get some more defense going against these Phoenix, but it's all a little bit too late here. As a 5th Phoenix comes across, we've got an Observer here to help out as well. Another Queen goes down. So that's that was number 3 Queen. Number 4 is also getting in a little bit of a tight spot there. She goes down. A possible 5th Queen could go down here if Sushi Slayer is not careful with the 5 Phoenix. Just going to head back for the moment. Maybe going to grab it there again. There we go. The Queen has been grabbed again. She's been snatched up, and the 5th Queen has now gone down here for Sushi Slayer. That's really going to eat into his production. Of course, that means no injects. It means he'll only have a small amount of creep tumors. In fact, just 1 creep tumor out on the map for the time being. It's not going to totally destroy him, but it does put him in a very, very annoying spot, where of course we have no real defense against these Phoenix now out on the map. They're going to find a random stray Overlord just across here. He did get Sushi Slayer's supply block for a short while there as well. So we'll see how Sushi's going to react to this. It looks like Synth, that's probably the weirdest spot I've ever seen a couple of cannons, and he's going to cancel one of them. I'm not sure what this other one is intending to do, but back at home for him. We've pumped up the gateway count now up to a total of 8. We've also got the Robo Bay poking away there, or whatever that is in the middle of that, with the extended thermal lance on the way. A couple of observers already out on the map, so he has got he's had some decent vision. Of course, the Phoenix being able to provide some vision as well. So we have transitioned straight onto the Colossus tech. We've got Void Rays coming out as well. I mentioned before White Ra. A common thing White Ra likes to do, which I'm sure some of you may have seen as well, is you pump up the Void Ray count, grab about sort of 6, 7, maybe even more of those. Also grab the Mothership Core, which we still have not seen. I'm not sure what the deal is with the EA Protoss. We're against Mothership Cores at the moment, it seems. But either way, get the Void Rays out, take a Mothership Core with you as well, as long as she's got some energy. Come across to what is normally a like a 4th base for a Zerg just up here. activate that prismatic alignment, beam it down, and bam, you've got a dead hatchery, recall back, and your void rays should be all safe and sound. So, you know, I'd love to see something like that out of Synth here. Of course, he's in a position where he doesn't actually need to do too much already. He's getting up his third base here. That's going to be very secure. Despite the fact there are no cannons here, there are a lot of good defensive units that he can throw out here at the moment. It's very cool to see the Roach Hydra combination, of course, from way back in the day of old Wings of Liberty, way back to Beta, and a little bit after that as well. We, of course, did see the very common Roach Hydra-based composition from Zerg players. Very powerful tanks at the front of with those Roaches. You've then got Hydralisks at the back with their fantastic DPS, but that all changed once these big boys started coming into play. The Colossus with extended thermal lance, with their upgrades churning away, of course, 101 at the moment for Synth, so he's doing quite nicely with that. And then you throw in some Void Rays, and you've got a very dead Zerg due to the old Protoss laser death ball, as we said, a very common tactic to deal with Hydra Roach. Now, as we said, it's very interesting to see things come full circle, where Roaches and Hydras have been making a lot more of an appearance. Of course, we do have the move speed boost here, as you can see, with the muscular augmentation upgrade added in for the Hydras, so that they can get a much better move speed when off creep, and just in general, their move speed is much better. When previously in Wings of Liberty, they would have been much more of a pretty much a fire and forget kind of unit, where you would throw them out there, say, alright, cool, let's do some cool damage, and I'll never see you again. It's a bit like that with the Roaches as they currently stand, unless you've got a lot of creep covering you, or a lot of fungals, which is generally why we don't see them. They're not too powerful, because they're a little bit of a, you know, sort of a unit that requires sort of a bit of a sacrificial strategy. But Sushi Slayer, he's not going to be happy with the move speed they've already got. He's picked up his Ventral Sacs. It looks like that is about to finish up. Also the what is it, Pneumatic Carapace? I can't remember if that's the upgrade, but it has been done. The Overlord speed now done. Roaches, Hydras, all jumping into these Overlords here. The unfortunate part for them is they do not see the little voyeur in the side there. The Observer has been keeping up with all of this, and he knows exactly what's going on. Synth in position here. This drop, while it normally would be a fantastic little thing to do as a Zerg player, if you're trying to capitalize on a Protoss who's really fortified their front door, this is not going to work at all. Unfortunately, it has all been scouted out. It looks like this weird battery of pylons just across to the side here from Synth has kind of funneled up his own units, but it has also funneled up the Zerg. The Colossus will be able to sweep down with their thermal lance, just burning down all of these units here. Nice micro from Synth to pull one of the Colossus away. And speaking of pulling them away, Sushi is going to do his best to get all of these units out of dodge, because they are in big trouble right now. Stalker's coming across, blinking in on some of those units. The Mothership Core finally being built by Synth there, and he's got that in action. It looks like, as we can see, these guys are going to head back. He's probably going to have to sort of sit back and see what he can do. Looks like Synth is just scouting out. Does he have a fourth base? Does my opponent have a fourth? Has he been macroing up quite adequately behind all of this? Well, at the moment, it looks like a no, because we do have still a Zerg on 3 bases at the 17-minute mark, and a Protoss on 3. Always a very dangerous position to be in as a Zerg player. You never want to be at even bases with a Protoss, just because of the efficiency trade of Protoss is just so fantastic compared to Zerg units. But we now see that Overlords are going to attempt number 2 at the bombing run of the Protoss main base coming through. It looks like the Mothership Core is going to come across. Is she going to get a Photon overcharge down? No, she's not. Then it looks like quite a lot of units going down there. A Colossus did pop out, trying to come to the aid of the base here, but unfortunately not going to happen. It looks like the Nexus is going to be next on the menu for all of these units here. Some of these probes still stuck inside this base. I think they're a little bit worried now, but the bay goes down, the facility goes down. Next are the rest of these tech units, and it looks like we will have a base trade, because Synth has decided it's a little bit too far to run home and try and defend this. He's just going to try and power on and get some damage done himself. Walking through the only really remaining defenses of his opponent there, the 3 Spine Crawlers getting burnt down with a vengeance by the Colossus. Looks like he will be able to take care of that natural hatchery too. The Zerg player, meanwhile, of course, Sushi has gotten inside. He's done all sorts of damage to the mineral line of his opponent here, but some of the probes did escape, and he will get them down to the 3rd base. A 4th being built by Synth, as well as a 5th in the middle of the map as well. So he's really just trying to make sure that everything is properly prepared for this base trade situation, where I would say, given the composition of Sushi, he's not in a position to really contest this. And as we can see, he's going to lose his lair. He's lost the spawning pool as well. We can also see that the Evo chambers are probably going to burn down quite soon as well. One of the last remaining spore crawlers actually somehow getting some lucky shots off there on a Colossus and taking that down. So as we can see, we've got Synth down to 1 Colossus at the moment. Of course, his Robo Bay has been destroyed. Now as we can see, the Natural has been destroyed as well, left in a smoking pile of blue ruin. There is Synth. Looks like his attempted 5th in the middle of the map here is going to be in a bit of trouble as well. Not going to be able to keep that one alive. The 5th base down at the, well, the 4th down at the bottom right hand side of the map has also been established here by Synth. He's got a gateway going up. A cyber core is going up there as well, because at the moment he has no way to warp in these higher tech units. Of course, the Stalker is going to be unavailable for the moment. He does have quite a bank though, so I really want to put, if I was a betting man, I'd be putting my money on Synth right now. As we can see, he is going to lose the cyber core and potentially this base, but it's sort of a tough situation, because with all these Stalkers coming in, they do have, of course, as we mentioned before, the upgrades were churning away for Synth, and he's got 202 on his upgrades right now, and these units are just going to burn apart. This Colossus is getting a fantastic amount of damage on the field there. 13 kills. That's going to continue to climb as he sweeps across all of those Hydras, doing their best to get some damage done. The Nexus will fall, which is not, well, that's pretty good as well for Sushi Slayer. He's really done a good job there, but what is back at home for Sushi? I mean, we asked that famous question, but at what cost? When you've been sitting back, and unfortunately, Sushi has not been able to really macro up at all. His drone count is currently sitting at 20. He's trying to get a second gas and a Roach Warrior in here, but I don't know how long this is going to last, because now Synth is on the warpath. You've killed my main, you've killed my natural, I've got the 3rd, and we'll see how this goes. It looks like the probe count is sufficient to just keep the income flowing, so I would expect that once this cyber is double cyber is up and running, we'll probably see just a few more Stalkers warp in for Synth, and then he'll probably just go for the kill. So looks like he did try and defend up here. Oh no, it's not defending, it's just some Overlords just hanging over like the Goodyear blimp, but he's now just pushing across the Synth Stalkers, just taking a few hits from the Spine Crawlers here. He's also going to check this top left-hand side base of Daybreak, just to check out if there is another base there, but no base there at all. Pylon going to warp in, providing those extra reinforcements, but I don't think it's going to matter at all. As we can see, he's going to be able to push in here, and you know what, this may bring into effect that sort of the diagram I was showing you before, where we've got the force fields in there. Yep, there's one. He's going to utilize the fact that those Spine Crawlers also help out with walling out the rest of the Zerg units, but I mean, the game is already over. Our blue Protoss player from EA, Synth, is going to take game number 2 here in a flurry of base trade actions that, well, it looked like a very weird sort of situation, but of course, unfortunately, due to the fact that those the Hydras and the Roaches were in no way able to compete with all these Stalkers, Sushi Slayer is forced to GG, and game number 2 will indeed go to Team EA. So we'll go into game number 3 in just a moment. Of course, this is a best of 5 here at the After Hours Gaming League Week 2, and we'll see if EA will continue their streak or if GREE can pull it back. Just a moment.